Well, good Tuesday morning, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to Gulf Coast Weather Solutions. Meteorologist Johnny Lively tuning in for what to expect for our Tuesday, which is going to be another hot August day, and what to expect later this week. Right now, there's not much going on in the Tamco Live Doppler radar this morning. We've got a couple showers offshore, and we might see some of those showers later this afternoon. Coverage not too high, around 10 to 20%, and that's really kind of what we're going to see the next several days. But this is what we're seeing right now on current temperatures. If we zoom out, it just seems like the same pattern for many, many days. The rain is kind of making its way towards parts of Florida on the western coastline, and then we also are seeing some showers and thunderstorms in sections of the East Coast. That's where that weak frontal boundary has kind of been. This is just bringing in more moisture for these areas. And in fact, we've seen some sections of Florida get up to 20 inches of rain just in the last 5 to 7 days. So not much going on in our neck of the woods. It is very dry. You can see it on the mid to upper levels, all that gold, that brown, that is very dry levels on the mid to upper levels. So that's one of the big reasons we're not seeing very good rainfall outlook right now. We're very limited on the rain coverage. Even today, just 10 to 20% coverage. And I think that 20% coverage is likely going to be just north of the I-10 corridor. Houston, Beaumont, down towards the coast, we're looking at maybe just 10% or less. But very dry right now on the satellite and radar. Thanks again for Tamco showing us what's going on. But it is a very warm start this morning, pretty much into the low to mid 70s north of the I-10 and I-10 down towards the coast. We're into the upper 70s, already into the 80s there at the coast, 82 in Galveston, 80 degrees at Sabine Pass, even 80 at Port Arthur this morning. Thanks to Silsby Ford letting us know what's going on in those temperatures, and they're going to continue to warm up. Here's our outdoor forecast and construction forecast, sponsored by Modern Concrete Material. Really good day. In fact, the last couple of weeks, we've been able to get a lot of things done outdoors. We're just looking at that 10 to 20% coverage. Main story is going to be the heat, and we do believe, this is typically our hottest time period, late July through early to mid-August, and then after that, we gradually start kind of cooling off. So today, we're expecting mid to upper 90s. Once again, heat index anywhere from 105 to 109 degrees. Definitely take some breaks, stay hydrated. Your only relief from the heat is that 10 to possibly up to 20% coverage for a very isolated shower. Tropics, very quiet, dry air, wind shear continues to kick tropics butt, which is wonderful news. Nothing is expected the next 5 to 7 days. Now, we are seeing some showers and thunderstorms developing along this frontal boundary. We'll see if anything tries to develop over there towards the East Coast, but even if it does, it will be a short-lived, pretty much nothing, and it's pretty much going to do what it's doing right now, bringing some showers and thunderstorms to the area. Nothing on the tropical outlook, no model data really showing anything. Tropics looks really quiet this year, and this is exactly what we want to see for this time of year. In fact, we get to peak hurricane season here pretty soon, getting into middle August. Only thing that we're really seeing the next couple of days, we've got this battle of dry air and some moisture kind of increasing. It's not until we get into Wednesday afternoon, mainly Thursday and Friday, notice we start seeing the moisture level start increasing. So instead of going from the lighter, we start getting to the more heavier side. So all this does is, instead of seeing that 10 to 20% coverage, we start jumping up to more of 20 to 30% coverage by really the end of the week, and then possibly in the weekend as well too. But notice as we get through the weekend, it's really not that high. It's kind of, again, the battle of how much dry air and moisture do we have. But notice as we get into Monday, very high levels kind of coming into the region. This can help bring in our coverage. Right now, I brought it down to 30%, but this could easily be a 30 to 50% coverage type of day coming in on Monday. We'll continue to see how this trends, but as of right now, really throughout the rest of the week, we're looking at 10 to 20% coverage, maybe getting up to 30%, and then possibly could see as we get into early next week on Monday that we could see that coverage start jumping up. So here we are, sponsored by Switch Electric. Pretty isolated, really, the next 5 days, today through even the weekend. We're looking at 10 to 20% coverage. Our biggest days could be on Thursday and Friday with that 30% coverage, but we will really monitor Monday, because right now I do have it at 30%, but this can easily jump back up to 40 to 50%. Lots of moisture kind of surging into our region. The moisture, the heat of the day, we get these afternoon showers and thunderstorms, and it starts dying off once we get into really the evening time hours. But Futurecast for today, sponsored by Tamco. You can see the heat of the day. There we get that 10 to 20% coverage. I think really from the I-10 down towards the coast, you're looking at 10% or less. And then from Houston, Beaumont, Lake Charles, up further north, this is where you can see that 20% coverage later this afternoon. Again, nothing too heavy, nothing too widespread. Very, what we see this time of year. And once we get into Wednesday, very similar as well too. Another round of getting up to 10 to 20% coverage. You get the heat of the day, the moisture. This can allow you to get some of these isolated showers and storms. thunderstorms. Then once the sun goes down, evening and nighttime, everything gets quiet. But looking at our temperatures that we're going to be seeing this afternoon, that's not going to be quiet. It's going to be into the middle to upper 90s. I mean, that is hot. Heat index even hotter than that. Houston, Spring, Katy can get to the 100-degree mark, and your only relief from the heat is that 10 to 20% coverage. So thanks to Silsby Ford letting us know what's going on. Wet bowl for the UIL student athletes. I'll move out of the way. We're really going to be into the low to mid 80s throughout the majority of the day, but by this afternoon, we will have a pretty good window of opportunity. It gets pretty hot, and the wet globe will be a thing that UIL will be watching. So upper 80s to near 90. At this point, these UIL athletes will start taking some breaks to kind of cool off with those heat stress that we'll be seeing later this afternoon. Then overnight tonight, still going to be pretty warm into the middle to upper 70s. Down towards the coast, pretty much getting into the upper 70s to the low to mid 80s. Thanks again to Silsby Ford showing that the ACs are just screaming and working overtime. Electricity bill, yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Southeast Texas 5 to 7 day forecast. It's what you see this time of year. I mean, let me move out of the way. Our normal high as we are in early August is around 94, 95 degrees, and that's pretty much what we're at. We're in the middle to several into the upper 90s. We're seeing the chance of rain around 10 to 20% coverage. Jumps up a little bit on Thursday and Friday, and then we'll be watching again on Monday of next week, but you see really the next 5 to 7 days, no big slam dunk on rain. We're just seeing kind of that moisture. Heat of the day gives us those rain o'clock showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon hours. And same thing for Southwest Louisiana. A little bit better coverage because the moisture content looks to be a little bit better towards Louisiana versus Southeast Texas, but still temperatures getting up into the low to mid 90s. Heat index, one of the biggest things. And then again, we'll start seeing that moisture in the heat of the day giving us 20 to 30% coverage, jumping up to 40% coverage on Thursday. And then we'll keep an eye on Monday of next week because another round of surge of moisture looks to come in here. Could see the coverage pick up once again. That's it for the Tuesday morning show. Thanks again for tuning in. Stay cool. Have a good Tuesday. And thank you all once again for joining Gulf Coast Weather Solutions. We definitely can't do it without you guys, and we definitely can't do it without our sponsors. We'll have more posts throughout the day on Facebook, YouTube, and on our free Gulf Coast Weather Solutions app. Mr. Lucas Boswick will have our 7-day updated later this afternoon, and then his evening video later this evening. So once again, have a wonderful Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. See y'all tomorrow morning on the Wednesday morning show.
Gulf Coast Weather Solutions is sponsored by. Thank you for making Gulf Coast Weather Solutions one of your go-to sources for weather around the clock. From heavy downpours and severe storms to winter weather and the tropics, we've got you covered with accurate, reliable forecasts you can trust.
Next week is starting to look a little bit more stormy.
But look what's moving into the state of Texas.
Gulf Coast Weather Solutions.